What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Game Show presented by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined as always by my co-host, Josh. What's up, Josh?
Yeah, I'm hanging out. It's Monday. Let's get through the week. I'm ready to mock draft with Moody. Get in there.
Guys, and it is a good Monday. I was going to say it's not just a Monday. It is Mock Draft Monday with Eric Moody. Moody is here with us for this Mock Draft Monday, a one-quarterback redraft league, the king of all league types, the OG, the kind that we are all used to. Guys, for those of you that do not know our guest, Moody, congratulations on waking up. You must have missed the past couple of years, haven't been paying much attention, but welcome to the modern day. But Moody is an analyst and writer for ESPN. He covers the NFL, NBA, WNBA, and he covers sports betting and fantasy sports across those sports. Moody, thank you so much for joining us today, my man.
No, things are great. If I were doing any better, gentlemen, I hired the two of you to enjoy it with me. That's how good I'm doing right now.
Oh, wow. Man.
I mean, I'm accepting offers if you want to throw them out over here. So,
guys, and we got some people in the chat ready for today's show. Scott, a little sad. He said, "What? The draft is full already." I'm sorry. You got to be quick. Sometimes those draft spots go away. And Dustin, what's up? Welcome. And he said, was able to get the new Hot Ones episode finished before the stream. Man,
good call.
Back-to-back great shows, right? Hot Ones and then a mock draft with Moody. And Scott saying happy SFB 12, everyone. Yeah, we were talking a little bit before this. I think all of us have one pick in. I went Herbert. Moody, you just told us who you went with the number 2 spot. You grabbed.
Oh yeah, I grabbed Josh Allen. So
man, that's awesome that he was there at number 2. And then Josh, who did you grab with your first pick at the 8th spot?
I have the 8th spot, and I got Jonathan Taylor. The first 7 picks were quarterbacks. Russell Wilson was the pick right in front of me, and I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I guess I'll take the gamble. Hope a good quarterback falls me in the second round. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do if it doesn't, but I got Jonathan Taylor with my first overall pick. I'm feeling decent about it.
You can always grab like Trevor Siemian super late or something.
Yeah. Trevor Siemian.
We got Mr. Scampers in the chat saying, "Hey, everybody's." Oh yeah, Andy Dalton would be great. What's up, Mr. Scampers? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And Dustin said, "Josh Allen, Chase, Zeke, Debo." Is that the start to your draft, Dustin? If so, that's disgusting. That's beautiful. What a start.
That really is beautiful.
Come here now. What's up? Welcome in. Glad to have you here. And we got Twin in the chat. Welcome in, Twin. Happy to have you here.
Woo.
And Jay, absolutely right. Great friend of FYF, Eric Moody. Eric Moody is a great friend of FYF. We'll see if you snipe me too many times in this draft, though, Moody. I'm not sure how great of friends we're going to be after this. I'm feeling
there's a little bit of separation between you guys. You have 106 for Simon, the 110 for Moody. So, but if I remember our last mock draft, Simon, not the one we did yesterday on Sunday, but the one we did during the FYF game show, you were tilting pretty hard.
I was. JL, and you said, "Boys, what's up, JL?" And guys, before we start our mock draft, I wanted to hit this question we have from Josh. Question about a 12-team Superflex startup draft. It's a trade. The 207 for the 511 and 711. I'm not doing that. It is too far of a drop from round 2 to round 5 for a 7th round pick to even come close to making that up. I would do this maybe for a 3rd and a 5th. Like the 311 and the 511 maybe, but the 511 and the 711, no way. Moody, do you agree?
No, I agree. And just to try to elevate those 2 picks, like you were saying, like a 3rd rounder, mix in with something else would be better. But yeah, too much value to give up.
Josh,
the 511 hurts. I mean, the 711 hurts. It's a late 7th round pick. That's actually a separator for me. But in 12-team leagues, I love trading down. I love trading my 2nd round pick and accumulating more value in that 5, maybe 6 range. If you could bump that 7 up to the 6-1, I personally would do that trade because like you're trading away someone like Stephon Diggs, maybe Breece Hall, like a top tier running back or top tier wide receiver like Stephon Diggs, but you're still getting in that 5th round guys like Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Michael Pittman. There's a lot of value down there still. Josh Jacobs, Leonard Fournette. You're getting guys like this with the 5th and 6th round picks. You're not far off in value there. I'll be honest. I love trading down, but I would be aiming for higher than a 5th and a 7th.
There we go. Guys, before we start with our mock draft today, a couple reminders. Number one, if you are not already following our guest Moody over on Twitter, go and fix that literally right now. He's on Twitter at Eric N. Moody. After you do that, if you're watching this show, that means you're most likely already on our YouTube channel. Go and hit that like button, show your support for what we're doing over here. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss another one of these shows again. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and pull this draft up. We've got some more comments in there, but let's go ahead and get this draft started. And then let's go. Josh is not going to be drafting with us today. He's going to be commentating, asking us some questions about how it's going. I'm drafting from the 6th spot, and then Moody, you're drafting from the 10 spot.
All right.
Yes.
Let's see how this goes. Fimo Brule, as you guys say, is up first.
and like we've already said a couple of times, this is a 1 quarterback redraft league. It's not dynasty. It's only 1 quarterback. So this is the most common league format, kind of like what Simon said down there.
Here we go. What's up, Dane? Welcome in. And Z2 said I got Lamar and Eckler at my first 2 rounds. I like the Eckler pick. I'm hoping Eckler falls all the way back to me. If anyone in my division is watching, San Antonio, don't draft Eckler. Let him get all the way back to me.
Let's see how it goes. So it's start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 2 flexes, right, gentlemen?
That is absolutely correct.
Okay.
You're a smart man, Moody.
I'm just making sure that Simon's not pulling the wool over my eyes.
Oh, no. He would do something like that, but not this time.
Some extra roster positions in there. That's 100% on brand, Moody. Oh, yeah, this is just a 1 QB league. Start 6 tight ends.
So the first pick, we see Christian McCaffrey come off the board. Simon and I were just talking about it this morning, actually, and I've mentioned it quite a few times on the stream, but I do believe if Christian McCaffrey were to play 17 games, he is the running back 1. Baker Mayfield only helps that or maybe keeps it similar. I want to know how you feel about that, Moody. Do you think that Christian McCaffrey, you could consider him there with the 101?
I think you can, but it's just tough for me to overlook Jonathan Taylor. But you look at McCaffrey over the last 2 seasons, and he's only played 10 games, but he's averaged nearly 116 total yards and 21.8 fantasy points per game. So when he's active, he's dominant.
Yeah. And do you think the addition of Baker Mayfield, it helps him, right? It doesn't necessarily hurt him. I mean, it's not like they had anything great beforehand, right?
Yeah, I just think with Mayfield, brought on, it definitely stabilizes his fantasy floor and ceiling. I think the guy that it really elevates more, in my opinion, I know I wrote a column about this at ESPN, like a rapid reaction, is I really love DJ Moore even more now because it raises his floor, but also considerably raises his ceiling. And he's just been a statistical monster when you look at his body of work. So
I think if we just compare Baker Mayfield to Sam Darnold, for instance, Sam Darnold is known for not having a very accurate deep ball, and Baker Mayfield's deep ball is actually one of the best in the league. And he's got a very underrated deep ball. So I think this actually could help Robbie Anderson, who's known as a deep threat as well. So we'll see what happens. I'm okay with the Christian McCaffrey pick number 101. I would have taken Jonathan Taylor still, even though if Christian McCaffrey plays 17 games, I think he'll score the most fantasy points. But it is what it is.
All right,
Justin, we were talking about that a little bit in Scott Fishbowl terms. Where I would take Christian McCaffrey jumps from my 3rd running back to my 2nd running back over, possibly even my 1st in Scott Fishbowl because of that upside, and you're going for upside.
And I wouldn't blame you at all. And then, Simon, you made your first pick. You took the first wide receiver off the board after 5 straight running back picks. You took Cooper Kupp. He's my wide receiver 1 for next season. You feel like you like that pick? Were you kind of looking for him at the 1 or 6?
At the 6th spot, there were 6 players I was looking at. There were 3 running backs: Jonathan Taylor, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey. 3 wide receivers: Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Any of those 6 players I would have been thrilled to have. I'm especially thrilled that Cooper Kupp fell. Because that is my wide receiver 1 there at the 6th spot. And I would have been just as happy with Jefferson or Chase there.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
All right.
And Moody, you're going to be about to be on the clock. Yeah, you're on the clock right now. I'm interested to see how the first 2 picks for you go. You started off the draft with Najee Harris, and you're going to come back around with DeAndre Swift, starting your draft with 2 running backs. How you feeling about that, Moody?
No, I do feel pretty good. As everyone knows, I'm a Najee Harris guy. He averaged 22.4 touches per game during his rookie season. You got the Steelers. They upgraded the offense. You've got Mitch Trubisky, upgraded quarterback. Made some tweaks to the offensive line. So I do think that Harris will be even more efficient in 2022 and should see a similar workload. With Swift, I really like Swift quite a bit. And I was sitting there watching that closely, wondering, okay, is Swift still going to be there? And I just find myself taking him often, in the top half of the 2nd round. And I think he's a dark horse candidate, in my opinion, to finish as the number 1 or the top, fantasy running back this year.
Yeah, I think there's only a handful of guys that you can even bring up in that conversation. And Swift is definitely one of them. I mean, what did they add to compete with him in that role? Nothing, right? We can expect the same workload for DeAndre Swift, and hopefully a little bit better offense this season. No, their offense wasn't bad last year. Like
no, not
it wasn't great, but it was a decent offense.
Yeah, it's the one thing with Swift is like people talk about the missed games. And like he played 13 games last season. You know, he had 213 touches, 1,069 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So he's in great shape. You know, this offseason. He's turning heads at camp, and what I've read, I like that he's working on how to take less contact and how to more effectively play through injuries. Whenever I read about a running back kind of going through some of those things, it just makes me think about DeMarco Murray, you know, that season with the Cowboys where he like exceeded like expectations. He was like a 3rd round pick that year, and then he finishes like the RB1. So, and that was kind of the narrative with him for where it's like he's injury prone, he always gets hurt, never plays a full season. I think we can see that type of transition with DeAndre Swift this year.
Oh boy, I'm on the clock. I didn't even notice. Oops. Oh no!
That was all by design. That was all by design.
You're just such good analysis.
And you just captivated us so much we couldn't stop listening. But I'm right there with you. I love DeAndre Swift. I actually have him ranked above Najee Harris myself for this upcoming season and projected. When I say I have him projected for more points than Najee Harris, it's literally 0.44 more points than Najee Harris. So I don't absolutely love DeAndre Swift more. They're the same exact running back to me. I think Swift has a little bit more overall upside because if he can play all these games, I think he's going to have such a great pass catcher role, but so is Najee Harris at the same time. I'm just a little bit more nervous that it sounds like you are with their quarterback situation. You said that it's a quarterback upgrade with Mitch Trubisky, and
I'm
a little bit.
I would say what I mean by upgrade is that given what Roethlisberger was these last 2 seasons, but I'm like, you have Mitch Trubisky there. I'm like, they can run like the RPO. They can use his mobility. So it's just a lot of different things that they can do, which aren't going to constrain them offensively, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So,
and Ben Roethlisberger wasn't running around. We all know that he wasn't moving very much at all, if anything. So I can get behind that. I like that. I haven't really heard that take very often, that the quarterback position is actually an upgrade. I think a lot of people consider it maybe level, if anything, but we'll see.
We'll see. I'm just kind of taking a look with some of the other picks that are here, especially like Mike Evans. I'm like, he's someone that's being, I would say, overlooked quite a bit. You just look at what he's been able to do statistically. I'm like, he's had 1,000 or more yards like every single season of his career. And that'll obviously continue, especially like with Brady. I'm like, I think with Brady under center, he's averaged per season 72 receptions, 1,020 receiving yards, and 13.5 touchdowns. Then where you have Chris Godwin, who knows how long he'll be out. I'm like, he could see even more target volume, which is intriguing.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Mike Evans is a great pick. You're not going to get us talking about anything different here.
No,
Josh,
I'm a little bit sad to see how far up he's sneaking up on the board, Mike Evans. That's making me sad. But Moody, Josh wanted to know, do you have a YouTube channel that I can check out? So I know you're with ESPN. Do you want to tell Josh where they can find all of your content, stuff that you're putting out there?
Yeah, I can do that. I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't publish anything that's on there. Your best spot to find me is obviously going to be on social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter, LinkedIn, at Eric and Moody. I'm going to start doing more with Instagram. I just haven't published anything yet, but you can find all my written content and audio and video content over at ESPN, NFL, WNBA and NBA, fantasy sports, and sports betting. So those are the areas that I create content in.
Now Simon's on the clock here. He's got to make a move, and he goes with Ezekiel Elliott. I like the pick, man. A lot of running backs going off the board, but talk about Mike Evans being a consistent fantasy producer. Zeke is like the Mike Evans of the running back position. It just, people don't seem to love drafting him. I mean, Mike Evans is flying up boards now. He's a 2nd round pick in this draft. I think that's where I end up seeing him a lot of the time. Zeke, on the other hand, I think you're going to find him in the 3rd round, and I think it's a value. Where you're taking them there, Simon?
Yeah, I agree. 15th running back off the board, which is I've seen him going even later than this, right? I've seen him going as 18th running back off the board. But I'm with you. How much safer I feel like can it get at the running back position after the first couple guys than Ezekiel Elliott, the guy who just gets 1,000 yards, who's getting paid by the Dallas Cowboys, who played injured last year and still finished as a top 12 guy. So I'm all in on. I'm drafting a lot of Zeke this year as someone who likes to go wide receiver with those early picks.
What about this? Jay says, "Give me ETN over Zeke." How's that make you feel?
I like ETN this year, but if I'm sitting at a
Wow.
decision between ETN and Zeke, I'm going Zeke.
It's a big no for me, Jay, as well. I would still go Zeke.
I've never seen ETN play an NFL snap, and we've got James Robinson in that backfield, who we've seen do incredibly well, even though he's coming off an Achilles. So I love ETN this year. I am drafting him if he falls a little bit, but I'm not passing up what I view as like much safer value with similar upside as in Ezekiel Elliott. It's a better offense too. What do you think, Moody?
Yeah, it's I would rather have Zeke. I'm like, he's going to get the volume. You know, they're paying him as a top running back. He'll still continue to actively lead the committee. And yeah, I'm like, he's been productive, you know, when he's been on the field. And plus he's played with the partial tear in his PCL, and which limited him, didn't require surgery. So I think he'll be more the Zeke that we remember seeing from a couple of seasons ago. Now let's see
who to pick.
Yeah. Trying to multitask.
I want to make your pick. You know, think about it, because I really want to talk about your Kyle Pitts pick right before this, and just how you feeling about him this upcoming season. So mentally, hey, don't talk about it yet. I want you to focus on this pick. Pick the guy you want.
That's what I'm sitting there. I'm sitting there thinking. I'm like looking at like Deontay Johnson that's there, and you also have DJ Moore. So I'm gonna my gut and instinct is saying to go with Johnson. So that's who I'm going to go with, and I'll kind of explain.
Well, shoot.
Simon's like, I'm not going to call
it a snipe.
Again. I'm not going to call it a snipe, but I'm a little bit upset. So Moody, I mean, to your point, like if you think that the quarterback position for the Steelers has been upgraded, then Deontay Johnson should be a great pick here, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the one thing with Pitts. You look at Kyle Pitts, and I'll pivot to Johnson. I'm like,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Pitts is going to lead Atlanta in targets. Now, no, we have rookie Drake London that's there, who's I'm very high on, and he's going to get fed as well. But you look at like Pitts. I'm like, the passing offense is going to go through Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Pitts, he's already gone through his rookie season, so he's going to be able to hit the ground running. For where London, it may take a little bit of ramp up time. But you're looking at Pitts, I'm like, he's a legitimate dark horse candidate to finish as the overall the tight end one. I'm like, if he can just get a couple of additional touchdowns over a leapfrog, I would say Andrews and Kelsey. I'm like, it can happen. So the upside is obviously there. And as far as when looking at Johnson, it really comes down to target volume. You think about all the targets that he was able to get last year. Now, when you have someone like Trubisky that's there who will be able to push the ball like vertically, I'm like he should lead this team in targets. And I think he's someone that can outperform his ADP.
Team in targets, right? I
Which
got
one?
So many targets last season. Deontay Johnson.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like, right. I don't know. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just I'm just thinking back, like from weeks 9 through 18, trying to get the thoughts going from weeks 9 through 18. I'm like, he had like the 9th most fantasy points, like among wide receivers. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something we could see him do, throughout the entire season. But kind of curious to see how the rest of this draft kind of falls.
Absolutely. And just real fast, back to that ETN. Yeah, you can answer that question.
Yeah, Dustin had a question for you, Moody. Said, are you at all concerned about having 2 Steelers in 4 rounds? So this is more of maybe like a general draft meta question. Does it bother you to draft players from the same team in these early rounds?
No, it doesn't bother me. If I have these players ranked or positioned like in a tier, I'm not really too overly worried about that. Now, I may not add like a third Steelers player. Like you may not see me draft like Pat Freiermuth or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm comfortable with these 2 players because I know that the volume will be there. The opportunity share will be there. So
yeah, no need to drop a tier just because of players on the same team. I'm with you.
Exactly.
Before we say anything else, I wanted to wish 2 happy birthdays. Scott Rainier in the chat, happy birthday to you. And then also it is Maria's mother's birthday as well.
I think that's what he was saying, right?
I know on this comment, but it is also his birthday. He said earlier in the chat, I was pulling it up. I was just pulling up one comment.
Happy birthday.
Then happy birthday to Maria's mother as well.
Okay. Happy birthday, guys.
Yeah, he said it right here. It's my birthday too. There we go. Happy birthday to both of you guys.
Happy birthday, everyone out there. Happy birthday. Jay Wall coming in saying he's ETN over Zeke too, and then we have Josh also saying he's ETN over Zeke. For me, I have Zeke projected to be my running back 13 this season. I have ETN projected to be running back 23. I mean, that's really only a separation of about it's 50 fantasy points, but the Cowboys offense is going to be a lot better, right, guys?
That's just I'm surprised because Elliott, he's played a significant role in this Cowboys offense. Like
he's been a top 12 running back every season of his career, every season in fantasy football. So I don't know what has changed that much. Tony Pollard, I know, is going to get his. He's a good pass catching back. He's going to be very good. He was more efficient than Zeke last year.
Yeah,
but he's not taking over that starting running back role. Not in my opinion.
No, I agree. Zeke's average like 22 touches per game in his career. Mm-hmm. It's like Pollard will be involved, but he's not overtaking the backfield.
Yeah. And I like Travis Etienne. I think he's a good pass catching running back. I think he does get the large majority of the carries for the Jaguars this season, but carries for the Jaguars weren't very valuable last season. I know the offense will be improved, but we'll see. Simon, I'm really liking the team you're putting together here. You have 3 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and I like all of them. We're kind of coming to a tier ender of running backs here. So is that why you decided to go with Elijah Mitchell?
That is the last player in a tier for me. I didn't plan on going running back here, but when it's the last player in a tier, I will generally adapt my draft strategy to finish out a tier.
I absolutely love it. I would have taken J.K. Dobbins ahead of Elijah Mitchell, but we're nitpicking. We're nitpicking here. They're in the same tier for me personally, so
they're just one tier apart for me. They're close, but they're one tier apart.
And I really like the Michael Pittman pick round before that.
I was between Pittman and Moore and Waddle from that spot. Those are the 3 players I was kind of looking at. Pittman I have ranked the highest of those 3. So Waddle was just kind of like an afterthought. It's the DJ Moore where I haven't really thought through the implications of that Baker Mayfield trade beyond yes, I think it helps him, but how much does he jump? Like Michael Pittman's a top 12 wide receiver for me this year. I don't think it jumps DJ Moore that high for me. It's close. He's probably on that fringe wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2 territory. So as much as I wanted to go DJ Moore there, I still think Michael Pittman's the right pick. But those were the 2 players. That's a debate I think I'm going to have in my head over the next couple of days is Michael Pittman versus DJ Moore, and who do I like better this year now with Baker in town?
Darnell Mooney. Yeah, I was hoping that he
had
a feeling it was a gamble, but you know.
So I also was hoping he would make it back.
So if would you have taken Darnell Mooney over Jerry Jeudy if you didn't think Darnell Mooney could have gotten back to you in the next round? I'm just wondering.
I was initially thinking to take Mooney. Like I view both players similarly, but I was kind of going off of in a lot of these drafts where you look at like whatever platform you're on with how they have their rankings. Most people are going to go with the players that are up top rather than below. I thought that Mooney may have been overlooked. That clearly wasn't the case.
I like this call that playing the game, where you're waiting. You're like, I like this player a little bit more, but I think I can get on my next pick, so I'm gonna play the game. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It didn't work out for you there, but Jerry Jeudy's still a good pick. He has a ton of upside, but Darnell Mooney is probably just guaranteed for a little bit more target volume, I would say.
Yeah, he's got to be target volume wise, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, they're going to get similar target
volume.
Guy
there. And Moody, you're on the clock again. Make your pick, but we do actually have a pretty good question here in the chat that it's kind of hitting me. I'm kind of confused how I should answer it myself. It says, Moody, who's the guy you're worried about the most that sits in your top 25 overall? And I'm just like looking at my top 25 overall real fast. Let's see. The top 25 let's just look at this draft board. The top 25 picks would be the first 2 rounds, essentially, a little bit more. Moody, make your pick, obviously.
I'm just thinking on who to go with here. So, all right, I guess I'm gonna go with my my instinct here.
For me to answer Scott's question, and I know it's not directed towards me, I know it's directed towards Moody, but it might be Deebo Samuel currently because I know his injury history. Really, his injury history goes back to high school. He gets injured a lot, and I'm not one of those guys that likes to focus on injuries and call injuries for players.
Gary
Samuel would. Trey Lance there as the quarterback, who's probably going to run a lot more. Deebo Samuel, they're probably going to want to limit him at running back. Deebo Samuel concerns me probably the most in my top 25 personally.
Right,
Gary concerns me the most.
Lamar Jackson.
25 overall or position, a certain position?
It says top 25.
Okay.
So however you kind of want to take it there.
No, that's fine. Let me.
You can kind of look through the players, but you wanted Lamar Jackson there, Simon. He's definitely a quarterback that's fallen.
Yeah, he was falling, and I was like, "Oh, this is perfect." I'm not excited about many of the names on the list down here, so I'll draft him. But there's another running back I'm cool with, so I'll take Miles Sanders here.
I love Lamar Jackson as much as the next guy, but Kyler Murray, I've projected for more fantasy points actually.
Do you?
You've been my quarterback 3 this upcoming year in a normal league.
Nerd.
Not that that is the fact, that he should be drafted there or anything. But you got Miles Sanders. We talked about a positional tier ending with Elijah Mitchell. This is truly a positional drop-off once you hit Miles Sanders, in my opinion. So I
kind of have an answer to that question. They were talking about a player in the top 25.
Yeah.
I would say just one name that kind of comes to mind is James Conner.
James Conner.
If I'm looking at just that top 25, like overall, he's kind of right on the back end there. It's just, given his injury history and just who knows what will happen in that backfield. I know, Benjamin's been getting, some love in the media with what he's been doing and bring to the table. And then you got Darrell Williams that's there too. So Connor's kind of one of those players I feel like that could not exceed expectations and actually kind of underperform as well. So.
And then add to that, he made his money on touchdowns last year. He was not a high yardage rusher. And yards are where you can maybe count on consistency a little bit more. He had 15 rushing touchdowns. You're hoping for something similar for him to give out similar results this year. Now, in that offense, definitely possible, but that's a good one, Moody. Whenever someone depends on touchdowns for the success of their fantasy season, definitely reason to be worried. The other one, not my top 25, but definitely consensus top 25. And Josh, we've beaten this horse to death at this point, but Javonte Williams really concerns me with the role that Melvin Gordon's going to play in that offense. Melvin Gordon's not going away. And if you're drafting Javonte Williams as a top 7, top 8 back, I feel like you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. Not that he's going to be bad, but I don't think without an injury to Melvin Gordon, he has a chance on returning that value.
That's probably the right answer, Simon.
Thank you, Josh.
That's a great answer. Javonte Williams, terrified of him this upcoming season. He's going to be good. Just not top 10 running back good, in my opinion.
I'm with you. Jordan wants to know why is Petey still on the board? Oh, shoot. Is he still there? I'll definitely grab him with my next pick.
Petey. Yeah, definitely Petey. I don't know what that means.
And then Scott said Hackett's run scheme is going to be so nice for Williams, though, over there in Denver now.
Russell Wilson does not typically throw to his running backs very often, look through his entire career. Maybe that's the Seattle Seahawks offense. I doubt it. I think Russell Wilson likes to scramble, try to make bigger plays happen. And when he can, he uses his legs a little bit. I know he's getting a little bit older, so maybe he does do some more checking down. But there's still Melvin Gordon there, like Simon mentioned, and he's a good pass catcher running back himself. I would not project Javonte Williams' receptions to go up. So he's going to have to get a large majority of this workload to be appropriately valued, in my opinion. A large percentage of the running back workload. And I don't know. I think maybe he gets 60% of it.
But that's not enough.
That's not enough.
Yeah. Not enough.
It's not enough. Not with the pass catching work that I expect him to get. Maybe this offense, maybe he's James Conner from last season, right? Maybe he falls into the end zone 15 times. And if that's the case, sure, he's going to be great. Any running back that gets 15 touchdowns is going to be great. But Josh came in here and said, Dynasty, what do you think Javonte Williams is worth? I've been trying to buy him for a first plus sum. In Dynasty, I absolutely love Javonte Williams. He's a great running back. He's a great prospect. It's just for this upcoming year, I'm just a little bit concerned.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because Melvin Gordon will be involved, and I'm like, you look at his statistical body of work. He's been a stud. He's outperformed expectations. I know he was in a similar situation with LA for where it's like Austin Eckler. No, I'm still going to be part of this committee, and now he's in a similar situation again. So it'll be interesting to see.
I like Javonte Williams. I like him. Like we keep saying, we all like him a lot. We love the talent. Let's see. I have him projected as my running back 21 currently.
Also,
I'm trying to figure out who to pick.
Scott said you might be right about Williams, but on the other hand, you might be wrong. Hashtag analysis.
That is absolutely correct. Like he
you're
definitely you might be right or wrong as well. Yeah.
And FF Chalupa Batman saying I'm playing with house money after getting Taylor at the 103.
Yeah, you are.
That is the latest I've seen Taylor go. A Taylor Jones Higgins start. That's pretty hot over there, FF Chalupa Batman.
Yeah.
That Aaron Jones pick, I absolutely love. I would have taken him over Saquon Barkley, Javonte Williams, Nick Chubb. I actually have him ranked above Najee Harris and DeAndre Swift myself. He'd be my 7th overall running back personally. I think 7th. 7. Not that much ahead of DeAndre Swift or Najee Harris, but so I love the Aaron Jones pick as well.
I have him at 7, right in between DeAndre Swift and Najee Harris. DeAndre Swift, Aaron Jones, Najee Harris for me.
So who falls out? Is it Joe Mixon?
Oh, no. Joe Mixon's my number 4 running back.
Dalvin Cook?
Dalvin Cook falls below Najee Harris at number 9. That is the one that falls out. Yeah.
Dalvin Cook would be my running back 5 right now.
Let's see.
Joe Mixon.
Moody, Kareem Hunt. I find that a very interesting pick. I know he's backup, but when he's on the field, he produces even as the backup to Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I'm like he'll be actively involved in the Browns scheme. Like one thing like with Hunt that I like, I'm like he's averaged like 0.8 fantasy points per touch since he's been in Cleveland, and he'll continue to have a key role, in that backfield, and obviously in line for more workload if Chubb does miss significant time. So yeah, I felt like with having him as like my RB3 or flex, I'm like I could do worse.
He's someone you can plug in whether Chubb is healthy or not into that flex spot. And if Chubb goes down, there's that upside that he steps into a bigger role. I like it.
Yeah.
So and then we did have Scott come in here and say Chris Carson had 37 catches 2 years in a row on 47 targets. And he had exactly that in both years. That's pretty crazy. But regardless, that's not awesome pass catching projection I'm looking at. And I guarantee you the backup running back didn't have many targets or catches either. Both Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams are going to get targets and receptions. So if we split that up between 2 running backs, it's nothing. And having said that, like last year, Javonte Williams had 53 targets and 43 receptions Javonte Williams had. Melvin Gordon had 38 targets, 28 receptions. So I still project Javonte Williams for 44 targets. Not bad, right? It's still not enough to set him apart and put him into this upper echelon without getting, like we said, double-digit touchdowns for sure.
Yeah.
So there were only – I'm sorry, go ahead, Moody. No, I'm on the clock, good. So you got it. And then
okay, yeah. All right, yeah, you very true you are. Yes, I would say with because I was looking at like the supply and demand of the running back position and just trying to find someone that's dependable, but then – has upside, and I felt like Gordon was a great target, like if you're in the 8th or 9th round, because he's someone that I think could easily see, 100 and anywhere from like 170 to 180 touches as part of the Broncos committee. And who knows? I'm like, he could end up becoming the preferred option in the red zone. And that's a team that's going to score a lot of points in the AFC West, especially with Russell Wilson under center. And one thing with Gordon, I'll kind of close with this, is that like he has 6,144 career rushing yards, ranking number 4. The only running backs that have more are Mark Ingram, Ezekiel Elliott, and Derrick Henry. And so I'm like, he's a solid pick, I feel like, and especially at this stage of the draft, and is my RB4. So can't complain there.
Yeah. And what were you going to say, Simon?
I was going to say, so there were only 2 teams that targeted the running back position less last year than the Seattle Seahawks. So it was do you want to guess 2 teams? The Seattle Seahawks targeted their
just probably bad teams.
No, not bad teams. 14.2% of the time the Seahawks targeted their running backs.
The Ravens?
The Ravens are one of them.
Is it the running quarterback? It probably equals Jalen Hurts to Eagles.
No, it is the Rams is the other one.
The Rams.
The Rams are actually the team that targeted their running backs the least last season at 12.6%.
Wow. That's surprising actually. And Scott came in here and said, before you said Rams were the worst. And then the other Scott said Colts were one, maybe. Were Colts pretty low there?
I can see where they finished.
Because Nyheim Hines there got decent targets, like not like the targets.
The Colts were targeted the running back position 22.6% of the time.
Okay. Oh, you were going off
Best for
percent of passes. That makes
percent, yeah.
so much sense. Because I was like, didn't Darrell Henderson get a decent amount of targets? But they threw more with the Rams offense. So it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, the Rams had 76 running back targets, the Seahawks 67, but they had more pass attempts. So put them down there at 12.6%.
That makes sense.
All
So,
right.
yeah, and maybe that's a Seattle Seahawks thing, right? I think it's probably a little bit more of a Russell Wilson thing. Like I said, I think he tries to scramble around and create big plays, which is going to be good for Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, KJ Hamler. Not as good for the running backs. Not as good.
Ooh,
Yeah, we beat this horse to death now. We beat that Javonte Williams.
I saw something in here that I wanted to address. Come here now saying you'll have to trade me RBs and wide receivers for my QBs. I just wanted to say I've seen people try this strategy in real drafts. Like, oh, I'll grab all the QBs. It doesn't work because then you've got a bad team and no one else has a QB. And they're not gonna trade for you, especially in a one quarterback league, because you know what they'll do? They'll grab a Ryan Tannehill off the waivers. They'll grab a Matt Ryan off the waivers. And that's going to be so much better than trading you a Keenan Allen or an Aaron Jones for a Dak Prescott. So I've just never seen this work. I understand in theory why you try it. I've never seen it successfully work.
In a Superflex league, that's a strategy you can roll with a little bit more because quarterbacks are so valuable and you're kind of hogging the market. But like Simon said, one quarterback league, the quarterback position is just undervalued a bit. Even though you do have some top tier guys, I'd probably try to be building my team.
Stinker.
Oh, I love getting Zach Ertz there, by the way, Simon. He's the end. So he's in a tier of his own for me. I would draft him above Dallas Goedert personally. After Dalton Schultz, Zach Ertz is the only tight end I'm kind of comfortable with.
Once I missed on those top guys, I was sitting here and I was like, I mean, it's Zach Ertz or my last pick is what the tight end position was going to be at that point. Ooh, and then here, this is where we get to the part of the draft where I feel like I just start taking shots on these high upside wide receivers. Because I'm fairly comfortable with the 3 running backs that I have. And so I'm going to shoot for upside at the wide receiver position.
With Christian Watson, eh?
Yep. Someone's got to catch the ball in Green Bay. It's probably Aaron Jones, but Christian Watson could hopefully build.
I like that he's just one pick behind Allen Lazard as well. You know, it's like, who's it gonna be? I don't know.
I would have preferred Lazard there, but I was fine with taking Watson.
Yeah. So Scott came in and asked, where would you take Wilson in redraft? And then he said Josh. But yeah, for me, I have him projected as my number 8 quarterback in redraft. Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott. That would be my order.
That would be my
order. And then Moody's coming back with another rookie wide receiver himself, taking Garrett Wilson right after your Christian Watson pick there, right there. You like Garrett Wilson this upcoming season, Moody?
Yeah, I do. I do believe that Wilson and Elijah Moore will have a similar target volume. So I think they're both in a position to have 100 or more targets. And I do expect to see some, I guess, progression with Zach Wilson going into year 2. So I think he'll take that next step forward, and obviously Wilson and Moore will benefit. So trying to figure out who to target now.
Yeah, that one happened quick. It came right back to you.
Yeah, I kind of have an idea. I'll probably go ahead and address the quarterback position here. So,
man, look at the quarterbacks still left down here. Over Derek Carr, over the likes of Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins. You excited for this new offense in Vegas, Moody?
I am, yeah. And I wanted to select Carr just so I can have a chance to talk about it.
Now's your chance.
I love it, Moody. Do it real fast. And we did best ball drafts last night, or Simon and I, and there was one where we only did one draft, but I grabbed Justin Fields and Derek Carr was still there, and I was so upset with myself. I was like, I wish I had Derek Carr. So go ahead. I like Derek Carr this year.
Yeah, because it's I'm like, you look at Derek Carr. He's got Devontae Adams. This duo played together at Fresno State. I'm like, they combined for 39 touchdowns and 3,037 yards from 2012 to 2013, and so. I'm like, that rapport will be there, so it's not going to take them half the season to kind of rekindle that connection. So I think they've been secretly hoping that this would happen since they've both been in the league, and so now it's here. But you've got Josh McDaniels that's there, offensive-minded head coach. I think they'll continue to lean heavily on the passing game. If my memory serves me right, the Raiders I think ranked 3rd in pass attempts. Then you have Carr, who had a career season in passing yards, and so I think he's a candidate to I think, set a career high in touchdowns, because that's really been one area that is kind of compressed like his fantasy value, I would say. But when you have a guy like Adams that's there, he's going to help in that area. So I think he's going to have.
Is Adams good in the red zone or something?
No, I don't think he's that good at all. I think he may have scored a couple with Aaron
messing around.
I know.
He scored 18 touchdowns back in 2020. He scored 11 touchdowns last year. I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but Devontae Adams is going to help this offense a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely.
Also, I see this comment from Josh saying Adams does not take the QB 14 and make him the QB 5. I just wanted to jump in and say, I know Derek Carr finished that way last year. I don't view him as the QB 14. That was a bizarre season for the Raiders, losing their coaching staff, losing one of the top pass catchers to crazy circumstances. It was not a good year for the Raiders, not a good year for Derek Carr, but I view him in that 10 to 12 QB range, which is a little bit higher, but I do think a guy like Adams and maybe a new offense, a new coach, all the things Moody said can bump a quarterback up.
Gotta mention Darren Waller is going to be healthy this year again as well.
Yeah.
The Hunter Renfrow broke out last year. They got 3 really good pass catching weapons, a good offensive line. Josh Jacobs, Kenyon Drake is going to be back. I don't know if that really moves the needle
White
at all.
Into the mix, right?
Yeah, like Zamir White. I do have Matthew Stafford ranked projected for just slightly more fantasy points. It's less than 15 fantasy points than Derek Carr, but they're so close to me. They're a tier. So pick your poison. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't bother me taking one or the other whatsoever.
You know what? I'm going to do it. One of my favorite quarterbacks this year is sitting there, and I'll finally pull the trigger. There was a running back I was considering, but I'm going to go with Tua. Yeah, I'm excited for Tua. They added Tyreek Hill down there. Again, another new coaching staff, a quarterback I saw some flashes from last year in an offense that should be better. So I like Tua, especially this late in a 1 quarterback league.
Yeah.
Totally.
It would have been nice if any one of these 4 quarterbacks in front of him fell, just in my personal opinion. I mean, Derek Carr, Tua I have as the quarterback 16. So, he's right there with these other quarterbacks, probably in a very similar tier.
I thought about going Rodgers with my last pick, but I have Tua and Rodgers. I've got Rodgers. I've got Rodgers a couple spots higher than Tua, but it wasn't enough for me to pass on a high upside wide receiver right there.
A couple spots earlier for me.
I was keeping my fingers crossed that Cole Kmet would fall to me, and that did not happen.
Cole Kmet's my favorite late round tight end, and it's not even close, actually.
Yeah,
it's not even close.
Ooh.
And I know you're on the clock now, Moody.
Yeah, I'm trying to pivot to see who's all available, but I guess I'll go with another option that I like quite a bit as well, like late round tight end, Hunter Henry.
Henry. All right. To pair with Kyle Pitts there, you got Hunter Henry, touchdown machine Hunter Henry.
I was going to say, you getting double-digit touchdowns from Henry this year with Mac Jones?
I think it can happen.
Right? He's one of the tight ends where I feel like maybe not a safe bet, but if I had to name 5 tight ends to get 10 touchdowns this year, I think Hunter Henry would be one of those 5. Like, name 5 tight ends who will catch 10. Probably not going to happen, but Hunter Henry would be on that list.
Yeah, Travis Kelce, Mark Andrews, Darren Waller.
Okay.
And then, Hunter Henry probably is part of this conversation.
Right?
Just in terms of solely touchdowns.
Solely touchdowns is how I feel about him. And Albert O going. That's an interesting I'm just interested to see what happens with Albert O this season in that Denver offense. There's a hole. But they've got lots of good pass catching options.
I'm curious to see, at least with if this player is available once I'm on the clock. So we'll see.
Oh, there's someone you're targeting that you're hoping. And there goes James Robinson. I was hoping would make it all the way back. I don't even want to say my boy. I'm on the make me bet ETN or Robinson who has more fantasy points. It's clearly ETN, but I'll take the value in the 12th round later. James Robinson.
Let me see what other running backs are here. Alexander Madison, Nyheim Hines, Darrell Henderson, Rashad White, Marlon Mack, J.D. McKissick, Kenneth Gainwell, Khalil Herbert. All these running backs have basically the same thing going for them. They're backups, just more or less waiting for the starter to get injured to have an opportunity. Maybe Nyheim Hines, you could say, has his own role carved out. But yeah, so if you want to take James Robinson here, you're not going to bother me at all. It's just fine in this grouping of running backs.
Moody, did your player make it back to you?
He did. Yeah, it was
Tim Patrick. I love that pick.
Yeah,
I love that pick, Moody.
Yeah, I like Patrick quite a bit just because you got Russell Wilson that's there, and Jerry Jeudy and then Sutton are going to command a great deal of defensive attention. But then you've got Patrick that's there, who's the type of guy that's got that very wide like catch radius that Russell Wilson's going to love, because Russell Wilson in his career has had a very high completion percentage. When you kind of pair that and with the amount of targets that Patrick can get, like, it may surprise people, but Patrick's someone that I can easily see getting anywhere from 80 to 90 targets. And I think he'll surprise a lot of people this year. Exactly. But now he's
85 last year with Drew Lock.
Exactly.
This offense is going to be better. The targets that he gets are going to be a lot better. He's going to have games where Tim Patrick's a top. I believe that he'll be a top 10 wide receiver a couple of times this year in weeks. I truly believe that.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I think he's a good wide receiver. I like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy more than him, but this late in drafts, I'm grabbing Tim Patrick there too, just to see what happens, see how it plays out.
That one's for you, Craig. If you're
Jamison Crowder, I didn't even have to look.
No, yeah, you knew who it was.
I like.
How do you feel about Jamison Crowder? Yeah, Moody.
Yeah, no, I like Jamison Crowder quite a bit, and I'll go ahead and give everyone a sneak preview. I'll have an article that's published this week that at ESPN. This should be published maybe kind of mid to late later this week, for where, I'll talk about Gabriel Davis and the Bills like pass catchers and just that entire situation, because I'm sure everyone's noticed Gabriel Davis's ADP has gotten ridiculous, especially over the last like 3 months. Exactly.
Especially in best ball.
And so I'll just say, that there's some red flags that I do see with Davis that I talk about in the article. I'll leave it at that.
No, I love that. There's red flags written all over the place. I think we draft him pretty realistically in our mock drafts that we do here. Like, right, he went at the 8-1. I'm fine with that. If you want to take a shot at the Buffalo number 2 wide receiver being Gabriel Davis and him sustaining that value throughout the year, that's fine at the 8-1. But like you said, Moody, we're seeing him get drafted in like the 5th, 6th round in a lot of leagues, and that's nuts.
It is nuts.
Can't do it. Guys, we flew through this draft, so I just want to let you guys know I added another round because this was truncated really anyways.
Yeah,
we are doing another round, baby. 13
Let's go!
rounds.
Let's do it.
Just because these are truncated anyways. Usually this would be probably a 15-round draft, but we only did 12, so we're gonna add another round on here because we got the time to do it.
Odd number of draft is the way to go, because the first. No, it's even. Never mind. Make it 14 rounds.
Okay, because I think we got time to do 14 rounds.
Let's do it. Let's go. We're already flying through the 13th round. That's what I'm talking about. I just like that the person that gets the first pick has the last pick in the draft. I don't know why. It doesn't really matter when it comes down to it. It's just something in my head that I like making happen.
I know. I'm looking at some of these players that are available just for people that'll do drafts this summer. It's I'm like a couple of late round quarterbacks I think could exceed expectations. I know Matt Ryan is one of them. I like him quite a bit late. Of course, Trevor Lawrence. I know things can't get any worse for him, right? Considering how things were in Jacksonville last year.
Oh, so. I hope not. If it gets worse for Trevor Lawrence, good God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That poor guy, if it gets worse for him.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of looking to see from the players who are available. So there's definitely some values that are here. And then especially in PPR, JD McKissick's there. He's going to be actively involved.
Yeah, that's a name I'm definitely considering here. But I think a running back here that I do want to take, that I think I don't take a lot of backups with the running backs that I have. I think this is a high value backup. Gus Edwards. He's a great running back.
Oh, yeah.
In a rush first offense, this is where I'll take someone like that.
Yeah. And he'll definitely get some touches in their committee. So no, I like that
exactly.
a lot.
Gus Edwards is probably going to get 10 touches, just under, maybe right around 10 touches a game. Like, the Ravens are going to want to run the ball a ton. Even if J.K. Dobbins is healthy, Gus Edwards is going to have a role. And if something happened to J.K. Dobbins, I think he's one of the most valuable backup running backs in the league. I think he would have done so freaking well last year if he didn't also get hurt. He's so much better than Devontae Freeman, Latavius Murray, anyone else the Ravens had last year.
When Dustin is trying to fight in here, said year 2 of Trevor Lawrence had 4-0 season, 5 years excuse. We'll see. Let's see how this season goes first. But I still believe in the talent of Trevor Lawrence. It didn't disappear overnight. Urban Meyer didn't just like take a vacuum and pull all the talent out of Trevor Lawrence and leave with it and sell it at bars or anything.
Maybe a little
Trevor
bit of
Lawrence
it. Did he vacuum some a little bit out?
I think as long as Trevor has the hair, all the talent's still there.
Okay, cool. He's gonna cut his hair. You just watch. He's gonna pull a Justin Herbert, surprise all of us. Remember when Justin Herbert cut his hair?
I forgot the long hair Justin Herbert. That was who he was. It was part, but let's be real. We cannot compare Justin Herbert's long hair to
It's not the
Lawrence's
same.
long hair.
It's not the same.
Lawrence has luscious locks.
I'm just chuckling because I was just thinking as we're having this conversation about Remember the Titans. That's what entered my mind. I was like, sunshine,
sunshine. Let's go. He's got to stay his sunshine himself, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. So we're going to 16, huh? Did we add another round here?
No, 14.
Yeah, 14 rounds. 14
okay.
rounds.
All right.
We'll finish that up. I was wearing my Remember the Titans shirt yesterday from when they were they filmed that movie in Atlanta. And so my mom was a teacher at the time and had a student whose parents were heavily involved in the production. So she has like these cast and crew Remember the Titans t-shirts that like they handed out to everyone who worked on the movie. And so I have one of those, and it's one of my favorite pieces of like sports memorabilia that I have. Just Remember the Titans cast and crew shirt. Scott Fish, and you're saying Eric Moody is awesome. I am shocked you even have time to type those extra letters today.
I am too. Yeah. No, I appreciate that, Scott. You know, you are the man, and I know you're a very busy man today. Probably lots of coffee and soda that Mr. Fish has been consuming.
That's
today,
what he's just doing. He's coming in here to try to burn off some of that energy. He's like, that's why he's thinking. Oh, caps too.
Just the man of the day, indeed. Squish, squish, Mr. Fish. And
on the clock.
Scott, SFB Day. Am I on the clock? Oh no, you're almost on the clock, Moody.
Yeah.
Bro Cal is still on there.
Gotcha.
And then
Trevor Lawrence.
I was considering Mr. Sunshine.
I was considering Trevor.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make this pick and something we can talk about. But okay, so we've got Mark Ingram.
Yeah.
All right, so readily available late in draft. So who knows what'll end up happening with Alvin Kamara with his situation. But if you're late in the draft, I'm very comfortable just taking a flyer on Ingram at his ADP because he's essentially free.
There were 2 games where Alvin Kamara missed last season and Mark Ingram was on the Saints, and Mark Ingram played very well in weeks 10 and 11 against the Tennessee Titans and the Philadelphia Eagles. Mark Ingram had 14 carries and 16 carries. And to add on to that, he had 7 targets and 8 targets, leading to 4 catches and 6 catches. So that's good production. He had over 20 fantasy points in one of those games, 14.3 fantasy points in another. If you get that for 6 weeks, even to start the season, that's a steal of a draft pick in the 14th round, Moody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like he'll be involved, and like I mentioned where we talked about like Melvin Gordon and his body of work. I'm like out of those top 4 kind of running backs, I'm like Mark Ingram, he is one of those guys, and the Saints have historically leaned heavily on their running game and really using their receivers as using their running back as a receiver out of the backfield. Mm-hmm. And even though Sean Payton's not there, I'm like his influence is still on that offense. So I think they'll still keep some similar concepts, but yeah, just something to monitor because I just think it's a chance that Kamara will end up missing some time. So I'll just leave it at that.
I think there's a very good chance, Moody. I think there's a very good chance. Sometime, if it's 6 games, like we said, Mark Ingram's value.
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how little I feel like we're hearing about Mark Ingram talked about this offseason with that looming suspension for Alvin Kamara. Like I feel like maybe we should hear him more as a late round RB target, but I love that you made that pick, Moody.
Yeah.
I think it might be some people out there aren't like fully bought into Mark Ingram actually being the guy if Kamara wouldn't play. I know there's like Tony Jones and what they have like Dwayne Washington or whatever, but I believe it is Mark Ingram.
Yeah, they don't have anyone else that you would consider even at Mark Ingram's age like a legitimate threat. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I went Robert Tonyan with my last pick. I was comfy with Zach Ertz, but maybe Hopkins comes back, and maybe Robert Tonyan is the guy that sees an uptick in volume in that Green Bay passing offense. We've seen Rodgers lock onto him before. So there's 4 late round tight ends that I love to target. 1, pure upside. Maybe he doesn't retire Rob Gronkowski. I think he's done, but you can grab him. 2, Robert Tonyan in this Packers offense with Devontae Adams leaving. 3, Evan Ingram. In the Jacksonville offense down there with Trevor Lawrence. We've seen him put up huge tight end numbers. It's been a minute though. And then the last one is David Njoku. The Browns made a point of keeping him on that team. Austin Hooper's gone. Maybe he steps up a bit into that role. So those are the 4 guys I like late though. Tunyon probably.
And I don't even know if Komet is considered late, but like we probably not. About. I know you wanted him, Moody. Komet, I just love as a later tight end.
Yeah, no, it's I'm just looking like at Simon's team with I love the Jamison Crowder pick. Again, I think he's someone that'll be actively involved. You'll understand where I'm coming from with this once that article is published on ESPN. Love Gus Edwards too. That was someone I kind of had on my radar at that stage of the draft. So I'll just let you know you did snipe me.
Okay, we're even then. You can stay. You can stay great friend of the show then, Moody. And FF Chalupa Batman wants to know, where do I collect my mock draft?
Your team's pretty good, man. Your team is pretty good.
Trophies in the mail.
I like
Just
it
keep
a lot.
An eye out for it. Make sure you check every day.
Great value on Kirk Cousins too, down there in the 11th round.
No, that is
absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys, that is going to be it for us today. Before we leave, though, a big thank you to Eric Moody for joining us and drafting with us today. Moody, always a pleasure. And I think this is the first time we've mock drafted with you on stream, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're right. Yeah, because I saw Mock Draft Monday, and I was like, Mock Draft Monday. I like that. I think I want to get in on that. So I went to Twitter and I DM'd Jay. I was like, hey, you got to get me on the schedule, man.
Let's go.
You got to get me on the schedule. So we're able to.
You were perfect for Mock Draft Monday, Moody. Yeah. Perfect.
And so it was good. I'd say, as always, gentlemen, hey, thanks for the invite. Love everything that you're doing. And hey, if you need me, just shine the bat signal in the sky. And
I got my Moody signal.
There you go. I'll stand up like Michael Keaton in Batman Returns, and then we'll make it happen. But in all seriousness, though, thank you for the invite.
Of course, Moody, and thank you so much. It's always great having you come on. Everybody who drafted with us and watched with us today, thank you so much for drafting with us and hanging out in the chat. We will be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some more fantasy football game show fun. So make sure to tune in then. Until then, though, we are out of here. Adios, everybody, and good luck on your Scott Fishbowl drafts.
Yes.
Trading makes fantasy fun. Z2, you're still undecided on your smart team. I like that you're talking to yourself in the